Phosphor Dot fans, Earl at thelogbook.com, back with more Atari 2600 goodness, and this time we have an interesting little treat. It's kind of in screensaver mode, and maybe we'll talk about that mode a little bit more. It doesn't look like this during the game. This is Spacechase, one of the earliest games released by Games by Apollo, which was one of the first third-party software houses focusing on creating games for the Atari 2600. Now, unlike Magic and Activision, which were each started with a core group of ex-Atari employees, Games by Apollo was really one of the first companies to be formed by someone who was basically a speculator on the industry. He had noticed that the market for a 2600 games was growing. He had noticed that there were other players concentrating only on software rather than hardware, and so he started the company, he incorporated it, and then, and only then, did he start looking for a programmer who could either already do Atari 2600 games or could learn how to do it pretty fast. That programmer's name was Ed Salvo, and he did really most of the Games by Apollo catalog himself. Now, this early effort is, well, it was better than it was better than Skeet Shoot, which was the absolute, not one of the absolute worst games for the 2600. Well, it was pretty close. I mean, in terms of graphics and gameplay, Skeet Shoot was, it would have been better left on the tech demo pile than released as a game in a box with advertising promising that, you know, this is actually a game. But Spacechase, on the other hand, is, you know, I can respect this as a game. Yes, it's kind of in the same wheelhouse as Space Invaders or Galaxian, others of that ilk, but it was at least trying to bring some graphical innovation to the table and do things that hadn't been done on the 2600 before. Really the big innovation here isn't so much the gameplay as the scrolling background in the, you know, kind of wrapped around a planet shape. It's kind of interesting because the scrolling background looks like numerous American landmarks. I mean, I see Chimney Rock over and over again. Occasionally I see Devil's Tower, Wyoming. It's kind of a Rorschach test, I guess, depending on what you're thinking of when you look at the shapes scrolling by in the background, standing in for the surface of the planet. But that surface of the planet was a kind of graphical detail that really hadn't been done for the background of too many games at the time that Spacechase was released. Really, if there's a frustrating element to this game, it's the fact that both the player and the player's opponents can cancel out each other's fire. They can intercept each other's incoming fire, and so sometimes you have a really nice, short, sweet round like that one that just ended, or you have one like the one I was on before, where it was just me and one other guy on the screen for what seemed like ages. And here I am again, with the last guy standing. Okay, there, finally. It's a simple but attractive game, which was definitely a step up from Skeet Shoot. Oh, that was a directed shot. I'm dead. So, really a very simple game. Nothing hugely innovative. Nice background graphics, I will give them that. And yet, I'm not going to tell you it's not fun. It is fun. Repetitive, yes, but fun. And it's kind of nice that the only thing really flickering here, where you have some 2600 games that are, seizure-inducing nightmares. The only flickering going on here really is in the missiles being exchanged by the player and the enemy AI. The enemy ships stay pretty solid throughout. Now, if I recall correctly, for some extra money, you could get a customized version of Spacechase that replaced some of these scrolling background graphics elements with your initials or your name. That was an interesting take on things, certainly for 1981. Impress all your friends. That did, however, cost a little bit more than getting the standard edition, where it just looks like it's scrolling through landmarks of the desert Southwest. Games by Apollo also had the dubious honor of being one of the first third-party software houses to fold and get out of the game when the market started to work against future growth. And I'm sure that was not a decision that was taken lightly, but yeah, there are all sorts of things about Games by Apollo that just, they're almost funny in hindsight, including the, I want to be a third-party software house. All right, we've started the company. Who's going to write the software? From that to bowing out of the game early before the crash of the industry started claiming players like Spectra Video and Magic. Maybe the minds behind the Games by Apollo were onto something. Anyway, feel free to like, subscribe, leave comments if you like what we're doing, because we drop a new Phosphor Dot Fossils video every other day, which is kind of crazy, but fun. If you like what we're doing, feel free to support us on Patreon, patreon.com/thelogbook, or on Ko-fi, which is ko-fi.com/thelogbook, if you don't feel like an ongoing commitment. We're appreciative of any and all help, and thanks as always for watching.